There are hundreds of versions of Snow White, and this is one of the wackiest and most disturbing, where the prince is the absolute worst and not only wakes her up, but puts her back to sleep again to keep her quiet. Also, where the dwarf characters are thieves who worship her like a goddess. This story is from Chile, and it's called Blanca, Rosa, and the 40 Thieves. The widower has a daughter named Blanca Rosa, and she looks just like her dead mother, and her dead mother had left her a magic mirror that if she wants anything, she's just supposed to look at it and be able to see her mother and get anything she wants. But the widower marries again to an envious woman who says, I want to see that mirror. And when she looks in it, she says, who's the most beautiful? You know, the first thing you would do with a magic mirror. Of course, the mirror says Blanca Rosa is the most beautiful, and so the stepmother orders her killed. She sends many men to do it, but they don't want to, and so they just abandon her in the woods and lie. And then this little old man who lives in the woods kind of takes her in and helps her out. Eventually, the stepmom asks the mirror again, who's the most beautiful? The mirror says, your daughter. She's like, oh no. So she finds the man and she says, I want you to bring me back her eyes and her tongue. In the Grimm Brothers version, it's her heart. In a lot of other versions, it's like her liver and her lungs, but eyes and tongue in this one. Well, the old man has a dog that has blue eyes like Blanca Rosa, so he kills his dog and brings the blue eyes and the tongue of the dog to the evil stepmother. Then he says, Blanca Rosa, you're gonna have to go off on your own in the woods, and so she does. Her life is filled with hardship and pain in the woods until she comes across the den of 40 thieves. When they go out for the day to rob and stuff, she goes in their house, sees these beautiful jewels and tons of food, so she eats her fill and then she leaves. The thieves return to their lair and find food gone and everything strewn about, because she was messy, opposite of the Grimm Brothers Snow White, not cleaning up, leaving a mess. The next day when they go off to do their robbing, they leave a guard at the entrance, and when Blanca Rosa comes down from the tree she stays in when she's not stealing their stolen stuff, they see her go in and get the stuff and leave, and they're so amazed that she's so beautiful, they think she's a spirit. Everyone doesn't believe the one guy who saw her, so the next day they leave a group of people and they also see her and they decide she is the Virgin of Heaven. But the leader is still not sure until he waits and sees for himself. But then once he sees her, he's like, you guys are right, this is the Virgin Mary. They confront her and she's like, no, I'm just this poor girl, I'm hiding out here because my stepmom wants to kill me. But they refuse to believe her and continue to worship her as the Virgin, which works out great for her. They build her a throne of gold and adorn her in the most precious jewels, and she lives happily and content among them. And in these stories, it's either dwarves or robbers who consider her a sister, something to keep these men giving the young girl shelter, not a sexual threat to her. And in this sense, it's because they think that it's the Virgin Mary, so they're gonna mess with her. Of course, eventually the stepmother figures out with the magic mirror that she's still alive, and she doesn't want to take care of anything herself, so she hires a sorceress to go out there and kill her. Like in the Grimm Brothers, she dresses up like a poor woman and tries to sell her a basket of fruit, but Blanca Rosa's like, I already got everything I need, no thank you. And so the old woman says, will you at least let me stroke your silken hair? And so she's like, all right, I guess I'll let you pet my hair. And so the woman jabs a needle into her hair and she instantly drops down into a deep, deep sleep. And the old hag slipped out with a wink and went to go tell the stepmother, yeah, I took care of her, she's not a problem anymore. The thieves come home, they can't wake her, and so eventually they make her this incredibly gorgeous casket, and they make sure it is watertight because then they throw her in the ocean, like you do. Her casket washes up on the shore of another kingdom and a prince who really likes fishing. And he pulls the casket out and he's like, well, this is fancy. I'm going to take it to my room and check it out. Apparently he can't see inside because it takes him 7 days and his own tools to work out how to open the casket. And he finally opens it and he sees this beautiful girl dressed in lovely garments and jewels. He tenderly removed the body, placed it on his bed where he stripped it of its clothes and jewels. Like any normal person with a naked corpse on their bed, he decides, I'm gonna comb her hair. And when he does, the comb brushes against the needle and he pulls it out and she wakes up. And guess what? She's freaking terrified because she is naked in a stranger's bed with a strange man. He tries to tell her, I'm a good man, you have nothing to fear, but she won't stop freaking out. So he drove the needle back into her head to walk out and think about what to do to keep her here and calm and not alarming everyone. Meanwhile, he has 2 sisters who are the real villains here, not him, who are like, what is our brother doing in his room alone all the time? And so one day they look through the keyhole. Apparently they can't see her, just the heaps of gold and jewels. Well, anyway, the prince finally comes back. He removes the needle from her head and he's like, okay, shh, listen, I want to marry you. And she's like, I want to be back with my 40 thieves. And he's like, I can try and find them, but like in the meantime, will you just like stay hidden in my room? And she sadly says, okay. Well, one day the prince leaves her alone to go off and fish, and the two old maid sisters burst in the room to get the jewels and stuff, and then they see, oh, there's a girl here, and then they get jealous. They stripped off her fine clothing and necklaces and threw her nude into the street. She frantically tried to hide, eventually gets to the house of another kind old man, nice old man in this story, who's a cobbler. She's crying, he hides her, he covers her, and eventually the prince asks around town and tries to find her and just finds her from word of mouth. It says he joyfully took her back to begin preparations for their wedding, because I guess now she's down with marrying him because of all the trauma she's gone to. I mean, I'd kind of be like, sure, I'll marry you, all right. And as punishment for the sisters, who again are supposed to be the real villains here, and not that they aren't bad, the prince sends for two bucking broncos, has the old maids tied to them head and foot, and has them tear them to 1,000 pieces. Then they have a great wedding with great pomp. The 40 thieves are invited, and our girl and the prince and the thieves live happily ever after. We don't know what the prince in the Grimm brothers version was going to do with the dead maiden he bought from the dwarves and was carrying off when one of the servants dropped it and she coughed out the apple and woke up, because that's what really happens in the story, not a magic kiss. But in this one, we get to see what a prince really would do, which is strip her naked, comb her hair, and then knock her out when she's loud, and then wake her up when she agrees to marry him. What a hero. At least she does get the 40 thieves back into her life. Whether or not they still think she's the Virgin Mary, we do not know. But I'd like to think so.